Hello and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today at Beautiful Literature with Meet Chamatha. I am so happy that you have chosen to just check on us, check what it is we are doing here, and it's not taken for granted. So this is part 2 of the styles in the Parliament of Owls, and I'm hoping that by now you have watched our series and you know that we have been systematic. We have looked at the fathers of nations. We are done with the styles, themes, characterizations, plot analysis. We have done the Parliament of Owls. We have done the acts. We've done the themes. The themes and the styles is where we are now in part 2. We've already done part 1. So welcome to part 2. And on this one, we want to talk about a certain style that is specifically and only used in a play. And like it's also used in a novel, but in this case we are talking about a play. What do you call it? You remember in plays when you're talking about dramatic irony. And what is dramatic irony? It is when one part of the cast on stage does not know something, and we, the audience, are aware of it. Like, we know what's going on, but one of the people on stage, one of the characters, is not aware. And I think we looked at that when you're looking at the Fathers of Nations. But now in a play, it is not called that. We call it aside. A-S-I-D-E, aside. Aside is where a character says something and it is meant for the audience to hear. Like, for example, you whisper something for the audience to hear, but the person on stage with you, or the characters on stage with you, maybe one hears or the others don't hear, or maybe they don't hear at all, but the audience is able to access that statement you have made, unlike the people on stage. Of course, it causes dramatic irony. It's the same thing that we are talking about, but it's only now in plays we call it aside. And it's important for us to see why aside is important and the role it plays. And I am hoping that even as you look at that, when you look at the text, even if I stopped this at that point, you're able to just pick those instances because they're very clear. Even the way they are written, you're able to actually see that this is an aside. And so I'll just point to one or two and then probably just leave it at that. And the one that I need, that's on page 7, where I read string when they're having that discussion with Telltale and talking about, what we don't want to, this is a law that is supposed to be observed and so on. And Telltale is wondering, but why would you be breaking the law? I thought you're actually not supposed to be here because this is it's not night, it is daytime, and so why are you here? And red string on the side says that we make and break the law. We make and break the law. Of course, he's not saying that so that Telltale can hear, but we, the audience, can hear that we make and break the law. Red string, of course, that shows arrogance and shows, pride and feeling very important that we are the people who make the law. We can break it as we wish, and there is nothing you can do about it. And of course, it communicates those other themes and so on. Remember, when you're talking about style, as we said, it's important for us to ask ourselves, what is the role? What is the significance of that style as far as that it's concerned? And so another element of aside is when you remember when there was Aramtides, on Aramtides' grave, there was a celebration where the royal king, the royal owl is, and red string and all those people and moneybags, and there's a conversation that they're having, and they're not even aware that the birds were on stage before they arrived, and now they've gone to hide somewhere, and they can hear them, so they're not aware that someone is hearing what they are talking about, and they're comfortably talking about the death of Aramtidi, and why he died is because he was careless, he was useless, he was all these kind of things. And so they are not aware, but we, the audience, are aware that the birds are there. So it's also an element of dramatic irony where the one part of the people on the cast on stage, they're not aware of something, but the audience is aware. I hope you can get that. So we also have Onchogorio's wedding. On that wedding, we see Onchogorio whispering something to Osogo and telling him that, can you see how the owls are very excited? They're actually being carried away. And of course, they converse on that. And later on, in almost on the same breath, we see the red string telling the black string that, can you see how Oyundi and his criminal friends, how excited they are about this whole event? And she's not even aware what awaits them. Now, I want you to see the contrast. Onchogorio here is telling Osogo, look at the owls, being very excited and celebrating, not knowing that we have planned something for them, that actually we are going to bring them down. So the two of them, at the back of their mind, at the back of them, we are aware what's going on. We know they are planning something. So the owls, they are not aware that there's something Osogo and Oyundi and all those people are planning. They are not aware. But Osogo and Onchogorio and the audience are aware. But in the same breath, we have this other situation where black string and red string are talking about who? About Oyundi. Oyundi, how she's very excited, and her friends, and they don't know that there's something awaiting them, that we are actually planning their downfall. It's the extreme contrast. But you realize that all this information is being, the person who is aware of all of it is the audience. One party at one time does not know. And of course, that brings in the issue of the suspense and keeps us anticipating and wanting to know what will happen when they get to know how will it finally end, who will win, who will lose. Is it the owls that will lose, like the way Osogo and Onchogorio are saying, or is it Oyundi who will lose, like the way the black string and the red string are talking about, the way Moneybags and Socialite Owl, during the swearing in, they are talking, and even before that, and they are planning on what to do. Which one will work out? And that creates the suspense and makes it, makes the reader want to read on and ask us and find out exactly what happened. And so that is really just part of the aside, the use of aside, which is also brings out the issue of dramatic irony. I hope you understand that. Allow me, before I wind up on this issue of the aside, talk about soliloquy. Soliloquy, you can see the word on the screen. On this word soliloquy, what does it mean? It is like talking to yourself, the way people say it's, I'm having a meeting with me and myself. And so you are talking to yourself. It's that, that act of talking to yourself. And we see quite a bit of that. And soliloquy is in plays. You can find that in plays. And we see quite a bit of that where Moneybags is actually in Act 2, where he's actually talking to himself. We see him complaining when immediately after they are through with the session, he's complaining that the session was too long. But again, he's also very excited about the moonlight bill going through, and he's very, very happy. And the relief he feels that now what was making him anxious is what if the bill doesn't go through, and he actually now feels like now the royal owl owes me. He needs to give me that tender instead of giving his mistresses, because I have really achieved. That soliloquy. What does it do? It helps us to develop the character, that we get to understand exactly who Moneybags is. What are his real intentions? What are those things he's doing? These things he's been doing. We saw him in Parliament doing all these things, being the speaker and Moneybags and all that, and bullying people. Why is he doing that? Because there's something he wants to gain out of it. He wants to gain the money that is coming from the moonlight bill, moonlight tax, but he also wants the favors from Royal Owl, because he's bringing in more. He should consider him. And of course, by the way, when you look at how, by the time as time went on, Royal Owl made sure that Moneybags became very, very powerful, because he said he has cosmic eyes. He's the one who is able to, very intelligent. So he was made in charge of very many things. So really, he achieved his purpose. And of course, now when he wakes up from his sleep, he realizes, it was just a dream. And you can see the relief. You can see how happy he is that it's true. The things that, especially on the other part where he's the dream he's going through, and it's a scaring dream. It's not very interesting. He's when he's waking up, he's very excited. You can see that talking to himself and just being happy that finally it was just a dream. And the author, the playwright, will use soliloquy just to allow us into the mind of the character, into the mind of the character, so that we're able to relate what is happening right now outside the character and what is happening in the character. And it makes it easier for us to understand the text. It makes it easier for us to understand, to build on the themes that are there, and also to even understand the person himself. And so that is the character and characterization. And so I want to stop at that when we are dealing with those two styles, that is the use of aside and the use of soliloquy. And I don't want to carry on from there. And I want to ask you that you find time to go through the other styles. In case there is a style that you feel, really, this one I can't even find examples, and I would really want to hear what Chamatha has to say, you know what to do. At the comment section, just get me there and ask me, what do you think about this? Then we can engage. But please trust me, you know so much. And that which you know, I want us just to engage and exchange ideas and see, probably we can be better. But this book is interesting. It's beautiful. I love it. I love the way it just is a complete symbol of our Kenyan setting. I'm avoiding being very political because it's not in my space to do that. But I want to ask you, do you think this book fits our Kenyan style? When you look at these politicians that we have, that we very cheerfully, most of us elected, do you see them? When you look at them, do you see the royal owl? Do you see money bags? Do you see the red strings and the black strings and the green strings? Do you see socialite owl anywhere? Do you see, do you see a Ramtidi? Telltale? Are you able, even when you look at the parliament, when they are in the chambers and they are making noise, they are calling each other names, and they are throwing one another out of parliament as they pass the bills. How do we pass bills in this country? What happens when really we are passing bills? You know, the opposition and the government, and you know, the meetings that happen before an important bill is passed, you know, those things that happen. Do you see that, what is happening in the text in our Kenyan situation? I hope you can see, because me, I can see it very clearly, black and white. It's only that it's not in this space that I would want to discuss that, but I want to hope that at your personal level, you're able to see that. And thank you very much. I will see you in the next one, a very short one, as we talk about character and characterization. I'll keep it very short because I know by now you know what to do with that, but I just mentioned briefly so that we're on the same page. So see you in the next one. Thank you very much.